This is a review video for Algebra 1 or some of the topics discussed in Algebra 1. This is not all of the topics discussed last semester, but certainly these core ideas, these core topics discussed in this video are things you should remember and have learned in Algebra 1, seeing you are in Algebra 2. One of the main topics or cornerstone pieces of Algebra 1 is being able to solve either an equation or in Chapter 2, an inequality. And in order to solve, we have to follow these steps, which are to distribute, combine like terms, pick on the little guy, that means move the smaller variable, and solve, which means get x on a side by itself. We want it to read x equals. So on number 1 here, you can see that I have an equal sign, and I could put a line down the middle to split it up into two sides, and then I just start going through my checklist. Distribute. If you have a set of parentheses, you need to distribute. That means multiply. Combine like terms. That means on the same side of the equal sign, if things go together, put them together. X plus x is 2x. So I've distributed, I've combined like terms. Pick on the little guy. I have a variable over here, which is 2x, and I have a variable on the right side, which is 3x. I move the smaller of the two. To get rid of a plus 2, I subtract 2. Well, 2x minus 2x is 0. 7 equals, 3 minus 2 is 1x minus 6. And now lastly, I need to get x by itself. To get rid of a minus 6, I can add 6. And I'm left with x equals 13, or 13 equals x. Now on number 2, you'll notice that we have an absolute value equation. And to start the absolute value, I must split this into two separate problems. That's x minus 3 equal 2 and x minus 3 equal negative 2. And now I have a basic equation that I should be able to go through and solve. Distribute, combine like terms, pick on the little guy, get the variable by itself. To get rid of a minus 3, I can add 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. So I end up with two answers on number 2. On number 3, we have a proportion. And to start solving a proportion, we can cross multiply. 3 times x is 3x. 6 times 5 would give me 30. Now, after I cross multiply, I have a very basic equation that I can get rid of a times 3 by dividing by 3. And of course, 30 divided by 3 is 10. On number 4, distribute, combine like terms. Pick on the little guy. None of those steps are in this problem. There's no parentheses. There's no like terms on the same side. There's no picking on the little guy. All I have to do is the inverse, the opposite of a minus 2 is plus 2. The 4 plus 2 would give me 6. The inverse of divide by 3 would be multiply by 3. And I end up with x equal 18. Again, that's not all of Chapter 1, but a good summary of the main topics in Chapter 1. In Chapter 2, we talk about inequalities. And the graphs of inequalities represent the solutions. The graphs of an inequality represent the numbers that make it true. So if we have two inequality signs, that means we have a compound inequality. So I put my numbers on the number line, and I have open circles at both because it's not equal to. And to figure out where to shade, I just look at one of my statements. X is less than 0. You would shade to the left of 0, and if you hit another circle, stop shading. On number 8, again, I put my numbers on the number line. I only have one inequality sign, which means I have one inequality circle. It is equal to, so that means my circle is closed. And to figure out which way to shade, I would have rewritten this. So the X is on the left-hand side, arrow points to the right, we shade to the right. And again, the graph represents the numbers that make it true. Numbers greater than 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so on and so on. So to solve, we do the same stuff that we did with equations with inequalities. On number 11, I first need to get the absolute value bars by themselves. So that's the absolute value, 2x plus 3, greater than or equal to 7. And from here, I split it up into two problems. One equal to the positive and one equal to the negative. The only catch is on your second inequality, you got to remember to flip the sign. Again, this is all review from Algebra 1. These are things that were discussed, and these are certainly topics that are going to come up in Algebra 2 in that we have to be able to solve. We have to retain these skills that we picked up in Algebra 1 moving forward. To get rid of a plus 3, we subtract 3, and to get rid of a times 2, we divide by 2. Again, absolute value, we get 2 answers. On number 12, to get rid of a minus 6, I would add 6. Distribute combine-like terms, pick on the little guy, get the variable by itself. That's a 2, not a 3. What is that? Negative 4. To get rid of a divide by negative 2, you can multiply by negative 2. And the rule is that when you multiply or divide by a negative, we have to flip the inequality sign. In a nutshell, that's chapter 2. Not everything, but a good summary of it. Some of what we're going to be doing in Algebra 2 is certainly graphing. And in order to graph, we need to remember how to make a table. So now I have a 2-variable equation, an x and a y, and I can pick numbers to plug in for x, negative 2 to positive 2. And now I have 5 substitution problems. The equation, negative 3x plus 2, is now negative 3 times negative 2 plus 2. Negative 3 times negative 1 plus 2. Negative 3 times 0 plus 2. Well, negative 3 times negative 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. At this point, you should see a pattern taking place and that the y values are going down 3. So I can just continue the pattern. Minus 3, minus 3, minus 3, minus 3. And of course, these ordered pairs are what make my graph a line. Once I graph all 4 points that I can see, I can connect the dots, connect the points, and there's my line. Another one with the table is if we have a fractional coefficient, meaning there's a fraction in front of x, I have to pick numbers that will make that fraction disappear. And these are multiples of 2. So again, it's a substitution. 3 halves times negative 4 minus 4. 3 halves times negative 2 minus 4. 3 halves times 0 minus 4. Well, 3 times 4 is 12, or negative 12. 12 divided by 2 would give me negative 6, and negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 7. Anything times 0 is 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And again, I have a pattern. These numbers are going up 3. So the next one would be negative 1 and then positive 2. And if I were to graph the points that I can see, graphing these ordered pairs, connect the points, and there is my line. A much more efficient way of graphing lines would be to use this thing called slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. M being the number in front of x. B is the y-intercept. So I can start with my y-intercept at 2. And then I can use my slope down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3, or up 1, left 3, up 1, left 3. And again, it makes a picture of a line. If you have a single variable equation, x equal negative 2, this is going to make a vertical line at x equal negative 2. And you could show this by using a table. All of the x values are negative 2. And you could plug in whatever you want for y as long as x is negative 2. And the last one here on number 22, the slope is 3. The y-intercept is negative 4. I come down here at negative 4. And then I use my slope up 3, right 1, up 3, right 1, up 3, right 1. Connect the points, and there is my line. Again, that's a brief video recap of Algebra 1. It does not cover everything, but these are certainly topics that will be discussed in Algebra 2. Thanks. Hope that helps. See you on the next one.